Friday.
Welcome to Mornings with Stephen Jardine, coming to you live this morning from Edinburgh and the biggest arts festival in the world. On the phone in, your best and worst Edinburgh Fringe moments from down the years. Call 08085 92 95 00, or you can text this morning 80295 to get in touch, or you can send us a WhatsApp voice note as well, coming up after 10.
Which Irish comedian plays the referee for the annual All Priests Over 75's five-a-side indoor football challenge match between Craggy Island and Rugged Island?
Sean Byrne.
Jason Byrne.
Kicking us off this morning, Jason Byrne will be here talking about coming to the Fringe with absolutely no show at all prepared. How is that going to work? We'll find out. Also on the programme.
Every relationship is made up of an organised person and a disorganised person. That was the most passive-aggressive laughter I've ever heard in my life.
He is the hottest young Scottish comedian of the moment. His show here is completely sold out. The only way you're going to get yourself some Larry Dean is right here. Don't miss him this morning. Plus,
The Deputy Prime Minister, I thank him for his kind words, and we did join this place at the same time, and I'm pretty sure we'll be leaving at the same time.
out of Parliament, but here with us this morning, former MP Mhairi Black joins us to tell us why politics isn't for her in her first ever Fringe show. And
I have been to Showstopper the musical twice, the improvised musical twice now. Both times I've been just stood there, sat there in awe. It's the best show I've ever seen.
that's what the audience thought the other night here in Edinburgh. The Olivier award-winning improv troupe Showstoppers will be here to perform live for you this morning, and will be joined by our audience after 10. It's the biggest show in town, and it all starts now.
And live from BBC Pacific Quay.
Across the United Kingdom and the world.
This is what they want.
This.
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
Yeah, this morning we are live from Edinburgh, where the world's biggest arts festival is now in full swing. Performers from 58 countries around the world are appearing here for the month of August in over 3,300 shows in front of 400,000 visitors to the capital. Population of Edinburgh roughly doubles in the month of August. It's 77 years since the first Edinburgh Festival Fringe, and since then the city has seen, well, the good, the bad and the ugly during August. So this morning on the phone-in, your best and your worst Edinburgh Festival moments. Call 08085 92 95 00, or you can send us a WhatsApp voice note, or you can text us 80295 to get in touch. Your standard network message rate will apply for that. When did you first visit the Fringe? Can you remember your first time? Did you see someone who's now famous when they were still unknown? Do you go to the same things every same year, every performance that you go to is the same performer from previous years? Have you been on stage? Have you been dragged on stage? Did you heckle and quickly regret it? What's the best thing you've ever seen? And what's the worst thing that you've ever seen in Edinburgh in August? Have you walked out of a show? Have you appeared in a show? Maybe you're taking part this year and want to tell us all about it. 08085 92 95 00 or 80295 if you want to text us your Edinburgh Fringe August stories. Let's start this morning with Hannah Maxwell, theatre artist. What a story she has to tell. Hannah, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. Thanks for having me on.
Lovely to speak to you. What happened to you in Edinburgh in August?
Oh, well, not this August, but last August, I had a pretty thrilling celebrity encounter. I was doing my show, Nan, Me and Barbara Pravi at Summerhall, and it was a pretty rough first week with ticket sales. I don't think we'd cracked double digits yet. So me and my producer were out flying around Edinburgh trying to hustle some things. And I think on this particular day, I was on one ticket sold. So we were arguing about whether I could even do the show with one person because there's like audience participation. So I'm tweeting sadly about it. And someone responds to the tweet saying, "That's me. I bought that ticket. I'm going to try and get my friend to come." So then I think, okay, we won't cancel the show. I'll do it for that one person. And so I go upstairs to get ready for the show. and my producer outside flying to get a few more bums on seats. And then I'm on stage putting the last few props out, and my technician, Ruth, starts laughing and comes running down the stairs. It's like, I don't know if I should show you this. What the hell, I'm going to do it anyway. And she shows me a text from Becky, who's outside, which just reads, Thibodeau Walker-Burge is coming, on all caps, meaning Phoebe Waller-Bridge, slightly misspelled.
Wow.
Yes, so I freak out into some sort of fugue state. And, I start off the show on stage behind this flat, and I can hear there's a very small number of people come in, and it's definitely Phoebe Waller-Bridge's voice. And I do the show, and I'm just sort of manic throughout. It's very direct address to the audience. So I'm making eye contact with everyone but her, sort of crossing my eyes slightly when I look in her direction. I have to bring her on stage for some audience participation because there's not enough people in the room to not, and she does that very well. And then the show ends, and I walk out the back door and immediately just collapse into a sobbing puddle in my producer's arms, who then promptly drags me back into the performance space to say hi to Phoebe. It was lovely. She was really sweet about it. We took a photo together. She said the show was great and ticket sales will pick up. And it is, and it did. So that's nice.
What a story, Hannah. Yeah, I remember this. Everybody was talking about this at the time. Do you know how she ended up in your show? What was the story behind her being there?
Well, I thought I got longlisted for some BBC Writing Award. I thought it was something to do with that. But no, it was literally the person who bought the one ticket was her friend and just asked her to come. So she wasn't there any.
That is the magic of the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. So 3 people in the audience, and a third of the audience turn out to be Phoebe Waller-Bridge. How has your life changed since this year, since last year, and how things were then? What impact did that have, and the sort of attention and profile that got you?
Well, we sold out the second half of the run, so that was pretty exciting to watch the numbers tick up every day. Doing it in front of 100 people at the end was great. And we've had a tour book. I'm about to go and do the show in Bedford today, rock and roll. We're taking the show to Malta in September, and then going to Adelaide Fringe next February. So it's been nice that the show got attention. And I think Alan Davies came to one of the shows at the end. There were some other celebrity appearances.
Oh, Hannah, you're a friend of the stars. But you're not back in Edinburgh this year. Did you think you maybe just had your quota of luck last year? You don't want to push it too much?
Yes. So I think I'm not one of the people who can bash out a show every 12 months. I'm sort of a biannual, biennial. I think everyone that I know who's taken up shows this year, they keep messaging me and calling me, sort of wondering what the secret is. I'm like, no, Fringe Jesus just descended upon me, graced me with her presence. I was just very lucky.
Phoebe, what a great story. Phoebe Waller-Bridge in the audience. Hannah, thanks so much for being with us. Hopefully we'll get you back here next year. Hannah Maxwell, theatre artist there, started out selling no tickets and ended up with Phoebe Waller-Bridge in the audience for her show and selling out all the shows as well. That is the magic of what can happen at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. Your stories this morning between now and 10 on the phone in. The good, the bad and the ugly. The great things you've seen, the amazing shows, the moments you'll remember for the rest of your life, and the absolute stinkers as well. 08085 92 95 00 80295. If you want to text us this morning, Billy Kirkwood, comedian, is at the Fringe this year, and he's with us right now this morning. Morning, Billy.
Morning, Stephen. How are you?
I'm fine. A little bit early for you. Is it 9 minutes after 9 on a Friday morning?
Well, as a dad of 3, I don't really get much of a choice, I'm afraid to say. So I am up, just finishing off the school run.
Right, your mad Fringe moments. You've had one this year, haven't you?
Oh my God, I've had so many over the years. We've had some crazy ones. I did actually have to rescue someone's pint from a seagull a couple of days ago during one of my gigs, because the seagull just flew in through the open window and went to this guy's pint. So that was one of the most ridiculous ones. But one of my favourites actually happened a couple of years ago, and it was, I like asking, I don't like going to the cliches, but if I have a couple in the audience, I'm always interested in what their origin story is. You know, how did they meet? How did they come together? There was one couple when I asked, how did you guys get together? They were incredibly embarrassed, and it's like, oh, come on, we're all friends here, what's going on? And what it was, do you remember a show on TV called Don't Tell the Bride?
Yes.
Right, so this is where the groom would be the one that would organise the wedding and would do everything and would have the big day. So the lady that I'm talking to on the day says that basically she used to watch that show, and one day one of the grooms, who she quite fancied, mentioned that he had a twin. So what she then did was track down the twin because he was in her area and asked him out on a date. And now they're married. And those guys came to see my show, and I thought it was one of the most romantic yet creepy introductions to married life I think I'd ever heard.
It's a little bit close to stalking, really, to be comfortable, isn't it?
I would argue yes. I would argue yes. But in saying that, they are very, very happy. It felt like the equivalent of basically she saw something she liked, went to see if there was any more of those available, buy it now, and boom, she's off and rocking. So there you go.
As long as she doesn't have buyer's regret. Billy, you come every year.
Yes.
It's a huge effort. It's a massive expense for everyone that's here. Why is it so important to be here in August?
Oh, my God. For lots of reasons. You could argue for the practical side of it, networking, connecting with your audience, being seen and all these type of things. But I think it is the atmosphere to soak up at the Fringe. I used to say, if you're a comedian, it is the Super Bowl, it is the Cup final, it is, the place where it's all happening. You need to go along there in order to get, your show into shape, to get yourself into shape as a creative. I think it's really, really important to come along. And just the atmosphere, what the Edinburgh Festival is so unique, Stephen.
We've got, after 10 this morning, our live audience joins us. We've got Jason Byrne joining us just after 10 as well, who doesn't actually have a show this year. He's brought no show to Edinburgh. He makes it up all on the spot. Let's see what he makes of our audience this morning. Larry Dean as well. He's one of the hot young Scottish comedians at the moment. Who are you looking forward to seeing this year? Who do you go to see when you're through?
Oh, wow. I always like to go and see something a little different. Eleanor Morton is crushing it this year. She's absolutely fantastic. You'll have seen her videos online. She is incredible. Paul Curry's another one. Connor Burns is doing absolutely amazing this year. I go and see guys like Connor Burns, but I always like to go and see a little bit of theatre. I always like to go and see a little bit of something different. So I would say to anyone, yeah, by all means, pick out your day, come across who you're going to see, but take a chance. Take a chance, because as you heard with like a previous story, somebody you might not know, somebody you might not have heard of, go and see them because there's some incredible people, some unknowns in Dirty Brackets here this year. Take a chance, go and see someone you have never heard of. Good or bad, it will pay off.
Well, taking a chance works sometimes. It doesn't always work. About 20 years ago, I went to see a play called Man of Flowers in the Annandale Street bus station at 9:30, about this time in the morning, and I didn't realise it involved full frontal nudity, which was interrupted by the bus tannoy frequently announcing that the number 7, then the number 11, then the number 23 were about to depart. Didn't work, really. Not for me, anyway.
Oh, Stephen, it's how we first met, wasn't it? And I am sorry about that.
Billy, off on your bus. Thank you very much indeed for... Oh, where can we see you, Billy? Where are you on this year?
Oh, I am on every day, 2:45 at the Beehive Inn on the Grassmarket. Tickets are offensively available, so please come down and see us.
Billy, thank you. We'll send Phoebe Waller-Bridge along to see you as well. Thanks for joining us this morning. 08085 92 95 00. Your best Fringe moments, your worst Fringe moments. Who do you see every year? Who's your number one that you always try and get to see? Who did you discover at the Fringe that potluck random thing that Billy was talking about, and it really worked out for you? Have you seen somebody who then went on to become famous? Have you bumped into someone famous here? Did you find love at the Fringe, that story that Billy was sharing with us this morning? Have you put on a show here down the years? Have you always dreamed of putting on a show, and maybe one year you'll do it? 08085 92 95 00 or 80295 to text us. Kirsty is in Edinburgh this morning. Morning, Kirsty.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks, this morning. Your Fringe highlights, please.
Oh my goodness, there's so many. So I moved to Edinburgh at the tender age of 17 from Forfar. Everyone either escapes or they get sucked in for life there. And in 91 to 95, that's when I studied, and I can't remember exactly when it was, but went along to see Young, Gifted and Green. For those of you who are as old as I am, Ed Byrne, Jason Byrne, and I can't even remember who the third guy was. It was in a tiny venue in the Cowgate, and they were brilliant, but they were completely unknown. And you look now, many years later, and go, my goodness me, look at the success of these guys. So, as I think the chap who was on before me said, take a chance. Sometimes it does pay off, sometimes it doesn't. I've got another example of going to see this guy who was doing an interpretation of Petula Clark's songs because he came up to the Pleasance and begged us to go. So there was about 10 of us and another 3 people in the audience, and he was absolutely horrific. But because there was only 13 of us, we just had to sit there and smile and clap. But it is an hour of my life, which I will never, ever, ever get back again. So that's one of these situations where, take a chance, but be quite selective as
Kirsty,
to what you
love
actually
that.
go. But in addition to that, and I can't remember the guy's name, but one of the funniest and most famous comedians now from Scotland, and I'm really sorry, I know I should know his name, but I went to see him again, one of these, take a chance. What's his name? He's from Glasgow, and he's really funny. Jamie?
Kevin Bridges?
Kevin Bridges.
There we go.
Went to see him, and he basically was hilarious. But there you go. I think it was free to get in. Took a chance was amazing. So I think you just have to be a bit selective. And actually, to be honest with you, my biggest tip to anyone is go along to one of those sessions where you can see 5 or 6 different acts for 20 minutes, because then you get a very good taste as to whether or not you're going to like them. But you don't have to sit there for an hour or 2 hours of your life when you're having to listen to somebody that you don't really like. That's my biggest tip.
It's even better. We're doing that this morning. We're doing a showcase thing this morning. We've got 5 or 6 acts, and you don't even have to pay a penny to get in. All you have to do is sit and listen to the radio until 12 o'clock. It's all good. And we've got Jason. Jason is here just after 10, Jason Byrne, so I'll remind him.
I love Jason
I'll remind him about when the time Kirsty was in the audience.
Young, Gifted and Green, and I've actually been a heckler before as well, which I put my head in my hands, which is really funny. Was a bit pissed with my friends. This guy was just being a bit annoying, as sometimes comedians can be, and I know I can probably be a bit annoying, and I probably am. Well, I'm not even saying probably am. Anyway, so he asked a question, and I said something, and he said, okay, can I just ask you what you studied at university? And I said communication studies. And I think the heckle that I'd made didn't really make much sense. So then the whole audience absolutely pissed themselves by the fact that I had studied communication. Then I was obviously unable to even heckle properly, never mind communicate. So anyway, but they're just a few...
And now, because you said that word again, I need to apologise for it. Sorry, everyone that's offended by that. Kirsty, thank you so much for your time this morning. Kirsty's stories of back in the day, seeing Jason Byrne and many more besides. The moments that you have been there when someone has been on stage and they've gone on to become big. Maybe you didn't expect them to be at the time, or maybe you thought this person is really going to fly. The worst things that you've seen, the absolute stinkers, the waste of money shows as well. Have you been dragged on stage? Did you heckle like Kirsty as well? Your stories of that, 80295 to get in touch with us on the text. Or you can give us a call, that is free, 08085 92 95 00. Brian Ferguson is the arts reporter for the Scotsman newspaper. This is his beat. He does it every year and he joins us live this morning. Morning, Brian.
Good morning, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. Before we get into this year, how many years have you been doing this now, Brian?
I think I've been going to the Fringe for 30 years exactly. Maybe 31, maybe 31. The early memories are somewhat sketchy, but definitely 30 years.
Right, there's no better time to ask then, on your 30-year anniversary, your best and worst of the Fringe over 3 decades.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, one of the best things, I was thinking about this morning, it was one of the earliest memories, was a Polish theatre company doing an amazing show inspired, I'm pretty sure it was by the war in Bosnia, in a school playground really close to where I was living, just off Broughton Street. And I think it would have been probably 95. And still to this day, it's one of the best things I've ever seen. It was just one of these real word of mouth things that people were talking about that was just incredible. And the amazing thing was the performers, the kind of main characters were on great costumes, completely black costumes, but they performed the whole thing on stilts and were absolutely terrifying. And the show travelled the world after coming here, and it came back several times. And I remember seeing it a good long while after that in Edinburgh University's old college quad, and still thinking, my goodness me, that really is one of the best things I've ever seen. So it's hard to top that over the years.
Worst thing, Brian.
Well,
what was the no star shows that you've seen down the years?
I would say the things that I really remember are the things that I didn't really think were up to much that then became huge. And I remember watching.
Don't say Jason Byrne.
No, I know. Oh my goodness. Well, I wouldn't say Jason Byrne. For anyone who's never been to the Fringe, he is the person to go and see. Basically, if you've never been to the Fringe, just buy a ticket for Jason, and it will change your whole view of the Fringe.
Or even better, stay waiting. He's with us in 50 minutes' time, live here on the show. You don't even have to buy a ticket. Just keep listening.
Absolutely. I remember watching an excerpt of a historical musical at Underbelly's launch about 6 or 7 years ago, just thinking, and everyone was going mad for it. It was only like 10 minutes, and I just thought, what is this all about, And it was Six the Musical, which is probably one of the most successful musicals of the last 10 years. So it really proves it. I've never reviewed anything for the last 30 years, and I never will. And it just proves that, although I'm immersed in the festival, certainly the job of a critic's a very, very different job. So, yeah, I hold my hands up to that one. And there's a few other comedians I've seen, and then they've just become huge. Fern Brady was one. I remember seeing her in a tiny room, and she really struggled to get the audience going and really get a laugh out of this audience in the Counting House. But then she's become one of our most successful comedians in recent years. She's so big now, she doesn't really need to do a run at the Fringe. I think she's just doing 1 or 2 nights at the Playhouse. Six was the one where I just remember, I just thought, why are people going mad for this? But yeah, it just shows you. And that's the thing, there's so much variety on offer that there really is it's a real cliche, but there's something for everything out there. And that's why there's such a variety of shows on offer, because people are convinced they will find an audience in Edinburgh in August.
Brian, somebody listening to this who's never been to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe just thinks it sounds too busy, it sounds too difficult to get a grip on. How do you dip into it? How do you come here for the first time and have a great experience?
I would say is simply head up to the Royal Mile and watch some street theatre, and maybe arrive. Try not to do it on a Saturday. Saturdays are really, really busy in that one part of town. But any other day, just take a walk up and experience some street theatre. You will almost certainly be handed a flyer or two. It's changing a little bit with the whole of digital flyers and social media campaigns. It's maybe not as much flying going on, but head up to the Royal Mile. The people who are flying are definitely looking for an audience. And I would say just go and see one show that you've been given a flyer for, and you could have a great experience. But at the very least, you will see some really good street theatre. A lot of those performers, they're absolutely fundamental to the Fringe. They're putting on free to access entertainment. They're obviously looking for donations from their audiences, and that's how they survive. And a lot of them travel around the world, but they all come to Edinburgh in August, and that's a great way just to get into the Fringe. It's worth pointing out, there's a lot of discussion and debate about how expensive it is for audiences and performers, but I checked again this morning that the number of free shows and pay what you want shows is almost 1,000 different shows you've got to choose from. A lot of those shows are comedy shows in pubs that are free to get in. Again, the performers are really just looking for a donation of some kind before you leave. But there's entertainment on the streets, and as well. So that would be my advice. You basically just need to rock up to the Royal Mile, and it's all there for you, and take it from there. And also speak to people. Speak to people who are clearly here for the festival, and they'll give you recommendations. I mean, I hear people ask me for recommendations all the time, and I've always got my ear to the ground for what the kind of the shows that people are talking about, especially early in the month, because as we see every year, the real hits tend to sell out.
Yeah, give us that. What is the one show that you're hearing is going to be really hot this year? The one that we should all be going to see?
I'll tell you one mention two that are at Summer Hall. One's called Weathergill, which I think is completely sold out. Everyone's talking about that. And the other one that's not, I don't think is sold out, but is an absolutely huge hit for Summer Hall, is called VL. It's by two Scottish writers, Kieran Hulley and Gary McNair. It's an absolutely tremendous high school comedy. And the two actors are grown adults, but they're playing teenage boys who are about 12, 13, really just at that difficult stage in life. And a few people have compared it to Gregory's Girl, just in terms of the humour and that kind of awkward stage in life that it really taps into. But I mean, I saw it a couple of weeks ago, and it was definitely one of the best comedies I've ever seen at the Fringe. And I think there should still be some tickets available.
You heard it here first from the arts critic from the Scotsman newspaper. Thank you so much, Brian, for being with us this morning. Your top tips, the things that you've seen this year, the things you've seen down the years, and you watch every year when you come to Edinburgh. They're a firm favourite with you, the worst things that you've seen down the years as well, the years it's all gone wrong. Neil in Murray on the text this morning. Fringe memories. My partner and I went to a friend's comedy drama. After 20 minutes of Spanish guitar, which was not very funny, we realised we'd been ushered into the wrong room. We certainly left to find the right place, only to find the cast, crew and audience heading outside. There'd been much drama as a light had blown and rigging fallen down on our friend's show. So much drama that day, but little comedy apart from the overall experience. Neil, thanks for that. Margaret in Glasgow. Best experience singing with my choir, Synergy. 250 of us at the Mound on the 4th of August. An experience I will never forget. What are the Edinburgh moments you will never forget for the right or wrong reasons? Text us this morning. It's 80295 or give us a call. 08085 92 95 00. Live from Edinburgh. It's 9:27 on a Friday.
There are diamonds in the world, we live in diamonds everywhere. Diamonds in the sky and on the bottom of the shoes that you wear when you wear Diamocels. Dimocel from British Knights. They're the shoe with the diamonds inside that bounce. Very cool, very BK. Diamond power, diamond fun. Diamond in the soul that bounce when you run. Diamond action, diamond flight. Dimocel from British Knights. Choose change, British Knights.
Right now it's Mornings with Stephen Jardine, live from Edinburgh, live from the Festival Fringe, after the phone in at 10.
This person sent this email to my agent, right? We just got home from Wrexham. Jason's show was brilliant, but we laughed a lot at the old couple who were sitting behind us. There's a clairvoyant from Liverpool with the same name as Jason. He's called James Byrne, and that's who the old couple thought they booked to see.
We know exactly who he is. Irish comedian Jason Byrne, firm favourite at the Fringe. He'll be here after 10 with our audience to tell us why he's performing this year with no show at all.
Everyone, stop what you're doing. It's time to get back to the fly.
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
This morning, we are live from BBC Festival HQ in Edinburgh, where the world's biggest arts festival is now in full swing. Performers from 58 countries right around the world are appearing here in over 3,300 shows in front of 400,000 visitors to Scotland's capital city. It's 77 years now since the first Edinburgh Festival Fringe. And since then, down the years, the city has seen the good, the bad and the ugly in August. So this morning on the phone-in, it's your best and your worst festival moments. When did you first go? What was the first thing you went to see? Did you see someone famous before they were famous, when they were still unknown? Do you go to see the same thing every single year? You like what you know. Have you been dragged on stage? Have you heckled someone? What's the worst thing that you've seen? What's the best thing you've seen? Have you walked out of a show? Have you appeared in a show? Maybe you're taking part in one this year. 80295 for your texts. Standard network message rate applies for that. Give us a call. That's free. 08085 92 95 00. You can WhatsApp us a voice note there as well. Right, let's speak to Nigel next this morning. Morning, Nigel.
Good morning.
Morning. Best and worst festival moments from Nigel, please.
I'm not I couldn't remember the name of many of them. I was a student and then worked in Edinburgh in the 70s and 80s. And you could go to maybe 2 or 3 shows in a night and sneak out of most of them. I think my favourite act was the Frank Chickens. They used to come every year and they were always brilliant.
I vaguely remember them. Tell us about the Frank Chickens.
It was 2 Japanese girls who sang rather silly songs. They had a big single called We Are Not Geisha, We Are Ninja. And look them up on YouTube, they are brilliant.
Whatever happened to them?
One of them became a presenter in television. I don't know what happened to the other one.
And how's your view of the Fringe changed down the years, Nigel, for someone who's been coming for a while?
I'm not in Edinburgh anymore, but initially, it was very cheap. You could go to 2 or 3 things in a night, and most of them were terrible, so you would leave them halfway through. I saw some brilliant things. There was a couple of plays about God, I've forgotten her name. The Little Sparrow. Edith Piaf.
Oh, Edith Piaf.
Edith Piaf shows that I really enjoyed. And there was some contemporary dance that I once surprised myself as enjoying. But
that surprised you, did it?
To be perfectly honest, living in Edinburgh, you tended to disappear into the world of carryouts and DVDs because there was no way you would go to the pub in Edinburgh during the festival.
Well, it was a funny old thing, wasn't it? The years when the Fringe didn't happen because of COVID maybe gave people a reminder of what it means to the city and the way that it breathes life into the city in the middle of the summer, something that maybe we'd taken for granted, I guess, before then.
It was always a big thing, though. I suppose when I started, it was the festival and the Fringe was a tack-on, and now it is the Fringe, and is there a festival left?
Yeah, well, there is, but I get what you're saying. I mean, it's a big old beast these days, the Fringe. 3,300 odd shows over the course of this month. Nigel, thanks very much. That's Nigel's favourite, the Frank Chickens. Your favourite festival show, Fringe show, from down the years. The good, the bad, the ones that you've maybe taken part of, the ones that you've enjoyed seeing on stage. Maybe you got up on stage, bit of audience involvement. Maybe you heckled a comedian because they were rubbish. How did that work out for you? 80295 to text us this morning, or 08085 92 95 00. There is so much in Edinburgh in August in terms of theatre, comedy, music performance as well, and loads for kids to do in the city as well in August. Hundreds and hundreds of shows aimed at children. Emer O'Hagan's a freelance writer and editor and mum of 2 kids. Emer, morning.
Good morning.
Good to speak to you. This is the first time that you brought the kids, isn't it? Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually sort of chuckled to myself when we were walking through Edinburgh with the kids, thinking, wow, I really am a grown-up now because this is so far removed from my old days at the Fringe, staggering around the place. But yeah, so it was a special year because it was the first time I brought them up from the borders to see a show and, walk up the mile and soak up the atmosphere. And seeing it through their eyes, them sort of witnessing it for the first time was absolutely lovely. It was just so nice. It really was a perfect day.
How do you tell them what to expect? Because it's so big and it's so vibrant.
Totally. I gave them a pep talk on the train. There's going to be a lot of people. You must hold my hand. This is not a negotiable today. And just, stay with me and, use your eyes and see what's going on around you. And they are very observant children. So, they were sort of pointing out, oh, look at that person, on the mile, like a street performer. And there was someone in a, weird and wonderful costume flyering. So, I mean, I think it was overload for them because again, like they've never seen anything like that. It really is an incredible sight when you're seeing it for the first time, and watching them soak that up was really, really lovely, actually.
For people listening with kids, what was the best thing you saw on your day out? What really resonated with yours?
So we went to see a show in the Pleasance called Dr. Kaboom, Man of Science, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's one of the best things I've ever seen at the Fringe, never mind the children. It's a mix of live science experiments, comedy, both for the kids and for the parents. And, Dr. Kaboom is this amazing comedy character that this person has created. And it was an hour show, and it was probably, about £35 for our 3 tickets. But, you can't get into the cinema anymore for that. So in terms of value for money, it absolutely delivered. And I would really recommend it to parents if you've got any seats left for the next few days. Run and see Dr. Kaboom. You won't regret it.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because it's an expensive day out if you're trying to see 2 or 3 shows and, you're maybe trying to get something to eat and you have an ice cream, and it can be a big, expensive family day out. How did it work out for you?
Yeah, we travelled up by train, and obviously ScotRail do, kids for £1, so that was good. That took the sting out of the travel. And as I said, the tickets were around 35, but as most parents know, whatever activity you choose to do these days, whether it's cinema, trampoline parks, that's what it costs. So at least I felt, well, look, they're getting something educational out of it, super entertainment, better than the garbage I've paid for them to see in the cinema this summer. So that was fine. It felt like, good value for money, albeit it is money. And what I was really pleasantly surprised with was the Pleasance was really family friendly, and they had a whole arts and craft area set up. And there were activities you could pay for, but there was also just free colouring in for the kids and tables set out for them. So we paid a little bit extra. They wanted to make a badge, and I thought, okay, fine, a little souvenir from the day. But you wouldn't have had to. You could have accessed that for free, which I thought was fantastic, to be honest. But yes, it does mount up, because then we walked back down, and of course they were hungry, and we had to get a McDonald's and an ice cream. There's absolutely no doubt. It's not a cheap day out, but everything is expensive when you're trying to entertain children in the school holidays. And I felt like they not only saw a brilliant show, but they just had an amazing experience the whole day. So it was money well spent compared to other things I've hemorrhaged cash on these holidays. So definitely no regrets. And next year, I think, now I see how able they are, we'll see a few more shows as well.
Did they? Yeah, they loved it, Emer. Did they talk about it on the train on the way home? They want to do it again.
Oh my God. They were buzzing. And, Dr. Kaboom came out for photos with all the children. They want to recreate his science experiments. They loved it. They loved the whole site. They know Edinburgh, but they've never seen Edinburgh as a Fringe venue before. And they really were. They were exhausted, but they were buzzing, which, is the sign of a really good night out. And, it was a very wholesome trip to the Fringe compared to, years gone past when I used to go. But it was lovely. It was really nice.
Yeah, more on that, please. Back in the day, childless, young, free and single, best and worst moments from the Fringe, Emer.
Oh, my God. I do remember, a lot of memories are very hazy, but I do remember one night, must have been, I think I was a student, and we had been out. I think we'd seen a couple of pretty average comedy shows. For us, the Fringe was just a vehicle to socialising, to be honest. Culture was neither here nor there. And we went out to a club. Then I remember we went to Pizza Paradise for pizza and wine at about 3 a.m. And then we went to the Penny Black. And your night's taken a wrong turn in Edinburgh if you end up in the Penny Black pub.
What's this got to do with the Fringe?
Well, this was it. It was just a vehicle to going out. So that it was neither here nor there what we saw. It was just like the whole atmosphere, and because everything's open till 5 or 6 in the morning, there's nobody telling you to go home. It's a disaster for people like me who don't know when to go home. So yes, and then the lovely doorman at the Balmoral hailed us a taxi, and that was a Fringe hangover I'll never forget. But yeah, as I say, nice. Hazy memories of what we actually saw, but a lot of socialising.
I remember there used to be a bakery in St Patrick's Square in Edinburgh. At the back door at 4 a.m, they would sell you, the guys under the counter would sell you the sausage rolls straight out of the oven. Happy days.
That's what you need. Soak up the booze.
Emer, lovely to speak to you this morning. Emer O'Hagan, freelance writer and editor. Mama 2, that's the family-friendly experience of the Fringe she had this year. What have you seen this year you've loved? Give us your recommendations. What have you hated down the years? The worst things that you've seen. Have you been dragged on stage as part of a performance? Have you heckled, then regretted it? The best things you've seen? The worst things that you've seen in Edinburgh in August? Have you walked out of a show because it was so bad? Have you appeared in a show? Have you put something on at the Fringe down the years? And maybe the people you've seen who were no one and then went on to become famous. 80295 if you want to text us on this morning. Andy in Dunfermline. Hi, Andy. Best festival show I've seen was the Jim Henson Puppeteers improv show. It was out of this world. We've got lots of improv coming up after 10 this morning when I'm joined by the audience here, Andy. Don't miss that. Alan in Paisley. Best thing on the Fringe, not a show, but a busker on the Royal Mile pretend to be the Invisible Man with the illusion of a hat and dark glasses hanging in space where his head ought to have been. And one more. Some years ago, the staff and pupils of Linlithgow Academy were invited to put on their school show at the Fringe, and it was fantastic. 80295 if you want to text us this morning or give us a call. It is 08085 92 95 00. Your best and worst of the Fringe in Edinburgh in August. Lubna Kerr, actor, writer and comedian, joins me next. Lubna, morning.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. You are doing a show at the moment. How is that going?
Well, it's actually going really well. I don't know why I'm feeling apologetic about it, but I've got 4 4-star reviews. And
amazing.
I know, and I'm really happy. So it's going really well. I mean, I flyer myself because it's about life in primary school and the labels that you're given. So when I go round, you know, the crowd, they'll say, "Oh, is that you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that was me. I'm not escaping from jail. I've got this poster that looks like I'm behind bars, but I'm not. It's just a school playground." So I'm really happy, but it does take a lot of work. A lot of work. Yeah, I can't complain. But I was thinking, actually, Stephen, I was listening. Sorry.
I was going to say, you need a thick skin when you're flyering, don't you? Because it's hard work. Is it still the way to get people? Hannah, who we heard from at the top of the show, she only had 3 people in the audience for one show. But thanks to the flyers being handed out, one of them was Phoebe Waller-Bridge, actor, comedian, star of Fleabag, wrote the last James Bond film. Mm-hmm. So you never know who you're going to get, do you?
Absolutely, totally. And So I flyer everybody, and I always ask their permission. So I'll say to them, "Can I tell you about my show?" Because, you know, it's their space and their time. So then they can say yes or no. But I was thinking about who I saw that was famous, and I saw Dennis Lawson, just walking in Pleasance Courtyard, and you know, when you go back to that, oh my God, I thought he was lovely. So I just went up and said, "Hi, Dennis," and all of a sudden I became like a fangirl. It was so ridiculous.
I love it.
I bumped into Clive Anderson. Now, Clive Anderson I used to watch before I became a comedian. And then a couple of years ago, I was on Loose Ends with him. And then I bumped into him again this year in the Courtyard. And he was like, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I've got my second play." And it's just lovely that they remember you. You know, like, you're like, "Oh, you're just lovely." But I was thinking back to when I first went to the Fringe before I became a comedian, one of the early days, and I saw this guy, I don't know if you know him, Stephen, called Des Clark. Do you know who he is?
Oh, we've heard of him, yes.
And I thought it must have been about 15, 20 years ago, and I'm like, that boy's got potential. He's really good. He'll go places is what I thought.
Where did he end up? I wonder. Do you know what? Clive Anderson is here, actually. He was in this building last night recording Loose Ends. It's on Radio 4 this weekend. If he's still kicking about after the show, I'll send him Lubna's love.
Yeah, do that, yeah. So, no, I can't complain. It's going really well. I flyer myself. It's hard work. You have to have a very thick skin and you have to be prepared for rejection. But one of the funniest things that happened in my show was that a woman fell asleep in the front row. And it's like a one-woman show, right? And it's really hot, despite the fact that we've got aircon on. She just fell asleep, and your eye goes to her. So I had to sort of ignore her. And every so often she'd wake up and smile at me, like thinking I hadn't noticed she'd fallen asleep. And then
did you say something?
Sorry?
Did you say something?
No, I didn't. No, not at all. She said, "I loved your show." I said, "Thank you very much for coming to it," because there might have been something wrong with her, but it's quite disconcerting. The very, very first show I did of my play Chatterbox, as a comedy play, 6 people came in 20 minutes after I'd started, and that was so. Then we set a rule: nobody after 10 minutes. That's it, because it upsets the audience as well.
Yeah, and people are paid, to have an uninterrupted show. What about heckles, Lubna? Best heckle you've ever had?
Best heckle I've ever had? That's interesting. So when I'm doing my comedy plays, I don't tend to get heckled. If I'm doing stand-up, you do. And because I'm Pakistani and, I've got dark skin, etc., there's always somebody making some I know what it was actually. It was Rangers supporters one time when Celtic had beaten them 5-1 and the Rangers fans were in for some therapy. And they just kept on interrupting you the whole time. And he's like, "I just want to talk to you, love." I'm like, "Yes, fine, no problem. We'll do it in the break." And it was hilarious. I thought it was funny.
I think it was Jason Byrne who tells the story of doing a gig in a pub, a small pub, in the back room of a pub in the early days, which was not going well. And during one of the quiet moments where no one was laughing, somebody quite loudly in the back row said, "I remember when there used to be a pool table in here." That takes the wind out of your sails, doesn't it?
It does. I was actually on Loose Ends with Jason Byrne 2 years ago. And then he came to see my previous play, Tick Box. And then he went and wrote a play because that's about my parents. Then he went and wrote a play about his father. And I'm like, I'm inspiring Jason Byrne. How lovely.
Well,
you've got to take the wins.
Well
You've
done,
got to take the wins.
Where can people see you this year, Lubna?
I'm on at the Pleasance Courtyard at 4:55. And the play is a comedy play called Chatterbox. They can read all the reviews online. An audience member described it as heartbreaking but heartwarming journey. And
well
if they queue early, they get ginger cake. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you hand out cake, don't you? I read about that, yeah. Lubna, thank you very much indeed for being with me. Have a great show today and this weekend. Lubna Kerr, writer and comedian, 08085 92 95 00 for your best and worst Fringe memories. Heather this morning, Victor and Barry, Alan Cumming and Forbes Masson at the Assembly Rooms. 40 years ago, we laughed the whole evening. Joanna this morning, remember seeing Australian comedian Mark Little. He was in Neighbours as well. Side-splitting to the point that my sides were sore from laughing. The only thing that spoilt it for me was a very annoying heckler. If I recall correctly, Mark ended up coming down from the stage and ordering them out of the auditorium. That happens. 80295 for these texts this morning. Most annoying Fringe experience: up early and seated waiting for Jerry Sadowitz to come on stage. He was in the building, but after many apologies from his team, told he was unable to come on. Despite this, amazing shows, too numerous to mention down the years. Many comedians in the early days in intimate venues. Richard and Falkirk this morning, unfortunately no longer able to get to the Fringe, but when I did, had 3 or 4 days every year with a friend, whole routine of picking shows when the brochure came out, big logistical exercise, balancing venues and times. Earliest memory, late 70s, seeing Victoria Wood and her husband, the great Suprendo magician, in a double act in a church hall near the Pleasance. Really happy memories. Keep these coming this morning. It is 80295 to text us the best and the worst of the Fringe down the years. Let's speak to Liz in Murray next this morning. Liz, morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your best and worst Fringe moments, Liz?
Well, I worked in Edinburgh in 1981 and had the opportunity to go to the Fringe, a show at lunchtime, Instant Sunshine, and it was I think it was the only time they appeared at the Edinburgh Festival. Dr. Alan Marion Davis, Miles Kington, Peter and David Barlow, and it was so funny. I mean, it really was Instant Sunshine. And of course, they all became quite famous afterwards. And another one that I went to was the Borderline Theatre Company. It was the first time they had appeared at the festival in the Fringe. It was in an old church hall, and they were absolutely brilliant. And I think they went on to become, better known. I can't say it's a worst moment, but it was certainly a very amusing moment. That year, 10cc's were appearing in the Playhouse Theatre. And as it happens, I know the drummer. We were childhood friends. His father and my father were business colleagues. And he arranged to meet me at the Beehive, outside the Beehive pub for a drink. Well, you know, it was just impossible. He was mobbed by all these screaming females, so I had to go away. So I can't say it was my worst moment. Very amusing.
Do you still come down, Liz? Will you still come and see things?
Well, I haven't been recently, but I used to go to the Edinburgh Book
Festival.
Show as well. You know, the book festival, yes. But I haven't been for a while. But I believe it's bigger and bigger now.
Bigger and better, but you don't need to go anywhere this morning. Just stay at home and listen to us, because after 10, we're about 15 minutes away from what Jason Byrne, Larry Dean, the hottest young Scottish comedian as well, Showstoppers. You're going to love them. They're improvised troupe all the way from the West End stage. They're going to do their thing live on stage for us this morning. So you just stay and listen to that and enjoy it. Liz, thank you. 08085 92 95 00 or 80295 to text us your best and worst Fringe moments from down the years. Did you end up on stage? Did you heckle? Have you performed here in Edinburgh? What are the things you go and see every year? And maybe who did you see who wasn't famous but went on to find success? Let's go to Helensburgh. Taz is there this morning. Morning, Taz.
Morning, Stephen.
Morning. Best thing and worst thing from the Fringe for you?
There's no worst thing for me, but the best thing ever was Basil Brush Unleashed.
Was that two years ago?
5 years ago. It was part of my 50th birthday celebrations. So
Tell us all about it.
Parties and everything. It was wonderful. And there was my husband and my bestie, Lou from Reading. She was up and we were first in the queue. I was determined to get front row. My bestie was like, please don't, please don't. I'm like, we're going. We got front row seats. I was Basil. I mean, you know, he's my hero. And then, my husband went up on stage first of all. He got pulled up to do a musical number, and then I was all jealous, and then I got pulled up to do the custard pie game, pass the parcel custard pie, and it was just hilarious. And I got a birthday kiss from Basil as well. Perfect.
Oh, that is absolute bonus. You always been a fan of Basil?
Yeah, of course. I'm a woman of a certain age.
Who isn't? Because this was I remember this. This was he did his kind of normal family show, and this was a more grown-up orientated programme, wasn't it?
It was definitely the adult version, yeah.
Yeah.
I was hoping he'd be back
I
again
love it, Taz.
this year,
Are you coming this year? You got tickets for anything this year?
No, unfortunately not. Sort the dogs out in the kennels and all that, you know, can't be away from town too long. So, but hopefully if Basil returns, I'll definitely come back at some point.
Well, you don't have to go anywhere. Just keep listening to us this morning because we've got it all for you here after 10. Taz, thanks for your time this morning. Wherever you are this morning, your best and worst Festival Fringe moments. Keep them coming. You can text us 80295 or give us a call. It's 08085 92 95 00. It's 9:52 on a Friday, live from the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. It's BBC Radio Scotland.
Are these the type of people you'd go to for help? You bet they are.
The inner city is your beat. An old kid has a problem too big that you can't tackle it.
And they're here to cure your ills with laughter and fun.
Can you help?
It's not always easy.
No.
But they're hanging in.
I love it!
Tonight at 11 on Channel 9.
Right now it's Mornings with Stephen Jardine, live from the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, coming up after the phone-in.
Which Irish comedian plays the referee for the annual All Priests Over 75s five-a-side indoor football challenge match between Craggy Island and Rugged Island?
Sean Byrne.
Jason Byrne.
Jason Byrne.
We know exactly who he is. Irish comedian Jason Byrne is here in 15 minutes' time, one of the firm favourites here at the Fringe. This year he is here with no show at all. How's that going to work? We'll find out.
Waiting. We're back now.
Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland.
That's right, this morning we are live from Edinburgh, where the world's biggest arts festival is now in full swing. Performers from 58 countries right around the globe are appearing in over 3,300 shows here in front of 400,000 visitors to the capital. It's 77 years since the very first Edinburgh Festival Fringe, and since then the city has seen, well, the good, the bad and the ugly down the years. So this morning on the phone-in, it's your best and your worst Edinburgh Festival moments. 80295 to text us, or 08085 92 95 00. When did you first go? Can you remember the first time? Who have you seen down the years that you really remember? Have you been up on stage? Have you heckled maybe down the years? How did that work out for you? Do you see the same person year in, year out? Did you see someone who went on to become famous? Have you bumped into someone famous on the streets of Edinburgh? Plenty of them around at the moment. 80295 to text us, 08085 92 95 00 to give us a call. Sally is next this morning. Morning, Sally.
Good morning.
Now, you've performed, haven't you? What happened?
I have, yes. For the last 9 years, I've done a show on the Fringe each year, and it's a different artist or performer that I'm paying homage to, so singing and storytelling. This year, the artist is Barbara Streisand. The show is A Star Was Born. And in the first show, it's just a short run that I do. It's just 5 shows. Somebody came up to me at the end and introduced themselves, and it was Barbara Streisand's cousin, which is interesting. Not necessarily what you want to hear in the very first show, but fortunately she enjoyed it.
Oh my goodness, what a thing. What an absolutely amazing accolade for you. Have you got that on the posters yet?
No, I did get a selfie, that's all I got.
And how's it been going this year, Sally?
It's been going very well. I think having a show featuring Barbara Streisand certainly helps to sell your tickets. So that's good. It's been very good. Good crowd.
It sure does. Right, let's get the plug in. You deserve it off the back of that. Where can people see you?
It's in the Argyle Cellar Bar. It's a little bit off the beaten track, just on the other side of the meadows. And there's only 2 shows left. One is today and one is tomorrow. So it's 5 o'clock today and 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And because it's Barbara, there aren't many tickets left, but there are still a few.
It's called Barbara, and it gets the thumbs up from Barbara's cousin, so that can't be bad. Thank you very much indeed, Sally.
Thank you.
08085 92 95 00 or 80295 if you want to text us this morning. Your best and your worst festival stories, the things you've seen down the years you've loved, and the things down the years that you've hated as well. Let's speak to Katrina Stewart, journalist who is covering the Fringe this year. Katrina, good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Your best and worst festival moments, Katrina?
Well, my worst experience basically saw me filled by my own naivety and stupidity. It was a comedian that I went to see who I'd never heard of before, but, it was free. And it turned out his shtick was singing and audience participation. So quite early on in the show, he was picking people out of the audience. And if they didn't have certain items on them, like, I don't know, a hairbrush or a driving licence, they had to get up and were made to leave in a sort of comedy kind of hangdog way. And one of the things was a passport. So this poor guy was picked out of the audience, obviously didn't have his passport on him, was told to leave, and he headed for the exit that was next to me. And I'm sort of pathologically helpful, and I hate seeing someone in trouble, and I had my passport on me. So I took it out of my bag really as a sort of joke, and said something like, well, I've got my passport, we can share it. And to my horror, this guy just took my passport out of my hand, pocketed it, and just kept walking. And I should also say, I have an Australian passport, and these things cost about $600, and they're also a pain in the neck to replace. So I just spent that entire show, it was like an hour long, and I spent the whole thing just sitting on the edge of my chair in an absolute cold sweat and panic in case this guy had left the venue and I didn't get my passport back. So the lesson learned there is just don't get involved. Just sit back and watch and enjoy, but don't get involved.
And what happened?
Oh, I got it back. I got it back in the end as soon as the lights went up. Because the other thing is, as well as being pathologically helpful, I'm also very, very polite, and I didn't want to make a fuss, and I didn't want to interrupt the performance. So I just suffered for 60 minutes, and then at the end, as soon as the house lights went up, I dived into the audience to find this guy and get the passport back.
Thank heavens. Katrina, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Keep these coming this morning. We're going to get some from our live audience who are just about to join us here in Edinburgh as well. Best and worst festival moments from down the years. Also in the next hour of the programme, the hottest young Scottish comedian. He's completely sold out. You'll only hear him here. Larry Dean joins us. And up next, star of the Fringe, Jason Byrne, live in Edinburgh.
I love Tammy's mama's peach cobbler. Come on. I even love a Martin rerun. I love turtlenecks in December. Yes, I have the sunsets when it's done. Let's go. Assume these fade like flowers, and council culture quick to tell you you're through. Yeah, but from the manger all the way to the grave, you love me like cooked food. That's why I gotta have you.
You make me as happy as I can be. Your love is a guarantee in a world of changes. You and I together stay on my mind. You are the truth and the light. There's no other way. I gotta have you. I gotta have you. I gotta have you. I gotta have you. Oh Lord.
I gotta have you.
I gotta have you.
I gotta sounds so good.
I gotta have you. I gotta have you. I gotta have you. I gotta have you.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
I gotta have you.
I gotta have you.
Second person.
Look at how you turn my world inside out. I'm loving what you're about. You won my faith, 'cause I saw it. You picked my life up again and still became my best friend.
Hallelujah.
Now every day I gotta have you. I gotta have you. I gotta have you. Oh Lord.
I gotta have you, Father.
I gotta have you.
Hallelujah.
I gotta have you. I gotta have you. I gotta have you. I gotta have you. Oh Lord.
Forever and a day.
Give me all you. Yeah. If you took your love away from me, I don't know what I would do.
I'd be lost. Ship without a sail.
See, there's a giant hole in my heart that can only be filled by you.
You don't know he's all you need until he's all you have. Come on.
I gotta have you. I gotta have you. I gotta have you. I gotta have you. Oh Lord.
My soul cries.
I gotta have you.
I never wanna run out.
I gotta have you. I gotta have you. I gotta have you.
Come on.
Oh Lord.
God, I gotta have you.
I gotta have you. I gotta have you.
In the fall, in the spring, I was lost. Now I'm free.
I gotta have you.
I gotta have you.
I gotta have you.
Monday.
I need you. I need you.
Even Thursday. I gotta have you. Bounce, bounce, bounce. I feel so good. Knowing that I got you. Feel good. You never leave me. You won't forsake me. You'll always keep me. You'll never change me. I gotta have you. Hey.
I need you, Lord. I need you. Oh God, I want you all of my days. Guide me in all my ways, please. Give me you. Yeah. I can't wait to see what you do to me. Get all in my heart and in my mind. Give me your joy divine. Yeah, Lord, give me everything that comes with you. I want it all. I want it all. Everything.
Biggest names from the Fringe and some live performance as well. Here's what's coming in the next 60 minutes.
Which Irish comedian plays the referee for the annual All Priests Over 75s five-a-side indoor football challenge match between Craggy Island and Rugged Island?
Sean Byrne.
Jason Byrne.
Jason.
We know who he is. Jason Burnett is with us in about 5 minutes' time. He's here at the Fringe with no show at all this year. He makes it up all on the spot with the help of the audience. How will it go here this morning? We're about to find out. Also coming up before 11 o'clock.
Every relationship is made up of an organised person and a disorganised person. That was the most passive-aggressive laughter I've ever heard in my life.
He's one of the hottest tickets at the Fringe this year. In fact, Larry Dean is completely sold out. The only way you're going to hear him and see him is here with us this morning. He joins us before 11 and...
The Deputy Prime Minister, I thank him for his kind words, and we did join this place at the same time, and I'm pretty sure we'll be leaving at the same time.
Well, she has left Parliament. Former MP Mhairi Black is here with us this morning to tell us why politics isn't for her in her first ever Fringe show. And...
I have been to Showstopper the musical twice, the improvised musical twice now. Both times I've been just stood there, sat there in awe. It's the best show I've ever seen.
They are called Showstoppers. They sell out the West End stage. They've won Olivier Awards and they're performing live for us here this morning with the show. Again, they will make up just on the spot. Don't miss that. All coming up between now and 11 o'clock. So here we are, live from the Festival Fringe in Edinburgh. For the last hour on the phone in, we've been talking about the best and worst things that we've seen on the Fringe over the course of the last few years. And we've got our audience in the room with us here this morning who all look... Are you here for a children's show? You all look far too young to be... Are you sure you're in the right venue for this here this morning? So listen, hands up from you here this morning. Who's got a best thing from down the years? Maybe from this year that you want to share with everybody else, or something from down the years that you've absolutely loved. Hands up who wants to share something with us here this morning. On the front row here, come on. Somebody must have seen something down the years that you've loved at the Fringe. Where is Gillian? Where's Gillian? You spoke to us a little bit earlier on. Gillian, you're over here, right. Share with us what's the best thing that you've seen down the years at the Fringe.
Might be another Gillian that's...
There's probably a lot of you in here. Hang on, hands up how many Gillians we've got in the room. Okay, is Gillian down the back? Yeah, it's that one. You're too far away though, we'll go this one. Best thing you've seen.
It was the best experience, and it was actually the BBC staff that made the experience so good. Because
have we paid you to say that?
I was lucky enough to be in For the Record last year, back to back. It was Carrie Polwart and Denise Mina, and it's a hassle getting a good seat to see your shows. So what was fabulous was that I got a good seat for the first performance of For the Record, and the BBC staff allowed me to keep my seat, so I didn't have to bother with all the queuing and all that hassle. So
amazing.
They do a great job. You pay them well.
Of course, like this show, it was free as well. Are you just a bit tight?
Yes. How did you know?
Possibly part of it. Who's got something else they want to share with us? A great show that you've seen down the years, something that you've absolutely loved that you want to recommend. Down here, front row. It's always the front row, isn't it?
Well, I've seen Jason Byrne nearly every year that he's been here.
Oh, hang on, stalker. Careful, everyone. Security, we're careful here. You're a big fan?
Oh, big fan, yeah.
Big fan, yeah? Okay.
I prefer him live than on the TV, though.
Yeah, well, you've got him live. In fact, you're about 5 feet away from him this morning.
I had him the other morning as well.
Really? Slightly nervous for him now here this morning. What is it about Jason that you love?
He's just so funny.
Have you got a good heckle lined up for him this morning?
No, I haven't.
No. Right, OK, thank you for that. What about stinkers? Who's seen something? Who's walked out of a show at the Edinburgh Fringe? Come on, we all have at some point, haven't we? Give us the worst thing that you've seen down the years. Come on, hands up. Somebody must have seen something that they just didn't love. It wasn't your cup of tea. Maybe you got a wrong recommendation. I've got such a nice audience here this morning. That's such a nice audience. They're not those type of people at all. OK, so let's go back to the good things. Recommendations from this year. Who's seen something great this year that they absolutely loved? Let's go down the back there. Somebody's waving. We've got a lot of people in here today, right at the very, very back of the room.
Yeah, we went to see Chief Bickelson from Scot Squad. It was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, yep. Where was he on? Let's give him a big up.
He's on at the Gilded Balloon, is it Pater House in Chambers Street?
Got you. Was it a late night show?
No, it was an early evening show. It was packed and yeah, it was tears streaming down the face job. It was so funny.
Right.
He was promoting his autobiography.
That's a good recommendation. That's a
absolutely
great recommendation.
Fantastic. Yeah.
All right, okay, we'll tuck that one under our belt. We'll keep these coming through the programme. We've got one more, I think, down here as well. Is this a good one? Thumbs up one?
It's a good one, yeah.
Excellent. On you go.
I'd recommend In Poor Taste, which is a combination of comedy and drinking wine. So you get...
Why didn't we think of that?
So it's two Australians who link up with a sommelier from a local restaurant, and you get 5 really good glasses of wine and lots of jokes. And it's on before tea as well. It's on at 4:45.
Great. And you go every day, do you?
Well, I think I tried, but it's sold out now. So but I think they put more times on. Because
what a great idea. Producer Susan, why didn't we think about this? We're going to do that next year for this show, for sure. Right, thank you for those. Keep thinking about them. We'll do some more between now and 12 o'clock as well. Your best and your worst festival fringe moments down the years. Jason Byrne is with us in 5 minutes. You standing by, madam. What's your name, by the way? Angela. Okay, security. Her name is Angela here this morning. Jason Byrne is with us after this. Our first piece of music on the programme this morning. Here's Paolo Nutini.
Oh, what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Pillow for my head, I got a pencil full of lead and some water for my throat. I got buttons for my coat and sails on my boat. So much more than I needed before. I got money in the meter and a turbo heater. Oh, and now it's getting on the road, so they get sweeter. I got legs on my chairs and a head full of hair. Bought it a pan and some shoes on my feet. I got a shelf full of books and most of my teeth. 2 pairs of socks and a door with a lock. I got food in my belly and a license for my telly, and nothing's gonna bring me down. Guitar and tires in my car. I got most of the means and scripts for the scenes. I'm out and about, so I'm in with a shout. I got a fair bit of chat, but better than that. Food in my belly and a license for my teddy, and nothing's gonna bring me down. I'm out of blowing that hard, man. Nothing's gonna bring me down. No, boys, the best of all. Best of all. I've got my I've got my baby. She's mighty fine and says she's all mine, and nothing's gonna bring me down. No. Oh, best of all. Best of all. I've got my baby. Oh, best of all. Best of all. I've got my baby. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Oh, she's mighty fine and says she's all mine, and nothing's gonna bring me down. She's mighty fine and says she's all mine, and nothing's gonna bring me down.
What you wanna do now, man? Yo, Ice, whatever it is, it's just got to be funky.
1, 2, 3,
make it funky! So the people can get down to the funky sound, cause my crew don't mess around. Make it funky! So the girls can get busy, dog the dance floor and make the guys get dizzy. Make it funky! Totally deaf as evilly cut the records and the beat is kept. Make it funky! Stupid fly, it's got to be F-U-N-K-Y, so the two can get loose. Stop a dude, sound harder to do. Manipulate the bass game, give the levels a boost. A lyric layer, rhyme sayer, born to be player. Politics, woman kick, then I'll be your mayor, governor.
Friday morning. If they gave out gold medals for commitment to the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, this man would have one. Jason Byrne made his debut back in 1996 at So You Think You're Funny, the stand-up competition. Since then, he's become a bit of a fixture at the Fringe. In fact, he's appeared for a whopping third of the Fringe's 77 years.
No, that's insane.
Over that time, his show titles have ranged from The Byrne Supremacy, we liked that one in 2009, to The Ironic Bionic Man last year. But this year he's back, and he's brought with us this year absolutely nothing at all. Please welcome Jason Byrne.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. All right.
This is either the greatest test of a comedian at the absolute top of the game, that they can come to Edinburgh with no show prepared, or you just couldn't be bothered this year.
No, it's not couldn't be bothered. Yeah, never say that to Scottish people. No, they couldn't be bothered. Well, we can't be bothered going then. So no. I called it no show because I'm just being honest with myself now. Because every year I bring a show here that's all ready to go, and I never get to do it because of my audience. You know, because so my Scottish audience, they don't heckle me. They put their hand up and ask me questions like they're my friend in an 800-seater, and they literally just start telling me stuff about themselves. So the show, I call it no show, and I describe it as like a Petri dish, and at the very start we have bits of little ideas, and then we grow this show over the whole hour, and at the very end everybody's a hero. You know what I mean?
Were you more nervous though this year on the first? Your first show was the 1st of August.
Yeah.
Coming here with nothing in your back pocket, no safety net, whole thing.
No. I mean, it's pretty. Yeah, it is. But I love doing that. Do you know what I mean? And because I feel I can just let my brain flow and just see what happens. You know what I mean? And I just get so much stuff out of the audience. And I also get guys up on stage to do stuff. And I got a guy up on stage, and he was from America. And he had this beautiful deep accent, you know, and he was like, hello, you know, and he was kind of good looking, and, you know, the ladies were starting to watch him. And I said, oh, what are you single? He went, yeah. And the women went, oh, like this, right? And then he topped it, and he went, and I live alone. And then he was doing all this, you know, pity thing, and I remember then went, oh. And then he got a big O, and he went, with a Labrador. And then the women went, oh my God, right? And then this is where the Scottish thing kicks in, right? This woman at the back, right? She goes, hey, Jason, this is why I can't do my own show, because of this stuff, right? And he went, what? She goes, my name's Siobhan, and tell him I'm single, right? And she looked like she was in her kind of late 40s or something like that. And then her daughter was in the front row, right? Yeah. Who was 22, and she went, Jason. So another one waving at me. I went, who are you? And she went, I'm Siobhan's daughter, right? And meanwhile, the American guy's still standing there. And she says to the American guy, the daughter says, oh, that's my mum at the back, and she did very well in the divorce, she says. And I was like, this is just typical Scots.
And they're happily married now.
Well, this is only like a week ago. They probably are. But I mean, this stuff, I don't know, I just get, you know, I'm a magnet to the Scots coming up to me, even in the street, outside, right? This was last week, a lovely couple, probably in their 70s, and the guy was just pointing at me. He's right in front of me now, and he's there going, it's you. And I was going, what? Yeah, what? Hello? And then the woman went, and then said such a Scottish thing. She said, is it you we're going to see? She says, right? And I went, I don't know. Are you going to see me? And she goes, we're seeing you. And then the guy who kept going, it's him, aye, it's him. We're going to see you, aye. And then this is why it's so hard with the Scots. They're so tough. She actually said, she goes, now, I'll be sitting in the audience and I won't be laughing at all. But don't mind me, I'll never laugh, right? And she says, but I will be enjoying myself, so don't worry about that.
Right, our audience today. Jason, can I introduce you to Angela?
Oh, my God.
On the front row.
Hello, Angela.
Is single. And no, I don't know that. I know.
Well, I'm recently divorced, Angela, so have you any money?
Angela's a super fan.
Oh.
How many times have you seen Jason down the years?
Oh,
come on, you do know. Don't play hard to get.
Well, I've been here 28 years this year, and I've only missed the COVID one, so that'll do.
I've missed a few, but
seen most of them.
Oh, you've seen most of them?
Yeah.
Oh, God, thanks a million.
Yeah.
You're very good.
You're looking slightly worried now, I have to
To
say.
me?
Yeah, slightly on edge.
Yeah, I've never met anybody who's seen all of them.
Yeah.
I've not seen all of them.
Oh, and I have had Scots come up to me going, I'm watching you tonight, you better be funny. Like, you know, or they get one where they're going, I'm bringing the whole office to see you on Friday, so please don't let me down, you know, and it's all on me.
No pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure. So if every show is different because there is no show at the start of the evening and stuff, are you always happy at the end of it? Do you always go off thinking that flew, or are there some that are just weird?
No, I mean, the hour is just not long enough. I mean, we have to cut stuff and like I had a guy, there's a bit where I have a very surreal bit in the middle, but everybody just loves it, and the audience just go, oh my God, it's great. It's basically, I put clouds on people's heads. They wear pillows as clouds, and I had a guy from Belfast, and he was about 72, good old Finbar, and he sat in a chair, and he has a cloud on his head, and he has to do sound effects of the weather, right? This is real. This actually, he's never been on stage in his life, right? And I was going, okay, do some rain, and he just started making kissing noises. He started going. And I went, that's not rain. What are you doing? That's like so. And then I'm dressed as a cloud, and another punter is dressed as a cloud, and we have to order food in a restaurant while dressed as clouds. I mean, it's very surreal and it's very visual. So it's not really working on radio right now. but yeah, come along to see that. So it's just I throw in loads of different things like that, and then of course I do have bits of stand up and all.
You see, it kind of works when you look around the room here. We've got people from all over the world here. Everybody's up for it. You know, it's the Edinburgh Festival. They know what they're going to get. The Edinburgh Festival Fringe. Yeah. They're coming for entertainment. You're on tour with this afterwards. Yeah. You're going to be at the Huddersfield Lawrence Batley Theatre on the 13th of October. How's that going to go, do you think?
Well, that's mega super fans. I have to know all of them. There's like, 450 of them. They all come back and I have to know all of them. And they're like waving and going, Jason, it's Claire, it's Tony, it's Mary. I'm going, all right. And there's a guy in the front who drives the number 66 bus and he's always in the front. But there's a kid who used to go. He was like, the first ever time he came, he was 14. And now he's like 21 or something. So, but he hasn't made it in the past 3 years. And his family buy a seat for him, right? But it's a cardboard cutout.
Wow.
A cardboard cutout of him. They actually printed it out and put it into the seat. And went, there he is. I'm going, is he here?
That's mad.
And they have a little arm that waves out the edge of it. Like, that's a super fan now. You need to do that.
Angela, you need to up your game here.
Yeah, definitely up your game.
She's not that much of a fan.
Oh, not that much of a fan? You see, that's a good Scottish...
Doesn't take much, does it?
Yeah, no, good Scottish dig.
You were horrified when I told you that, though, but a third of the Fringe's run, you've been here for it down the years.
No.
How's it changed in your time?
Well, when we first came here, there wasn't that many venues, and all the comedians just met in one late night bar.
This place didn't even exist.
No,
There's a hole in the ground.
No, oh, yeah, I know. Actually, I was queuing up for coffee earlier on, and some woman said to me, "You know how much this place cost?" Right?
No, that's the Parliament across the road.
Yeah.
Let's not get them confused.
No, it's brilliant. You're just like the Irish. The minute they build something, we're like, oh, how much was that? Like, Holyrood, what was that? Like 755,000 million pounds, wasn't it, as well?
Like that.
But yeah, so we just had the one venue, and I was there with Jimmy Carr, Tim Minchin, who, did Matilda, and like loads of acts that were just on Johnny Vegas and all. But there wasn't much television. Well, there was television then, but there wasn't like people trying to get on 9 out of 10 Cats or the Apollo. There was none of that.
But that's never what it's been about for you, has it?
No, I've always stayed true to form. Like, I've always done what I wanted. I never let anybody say, oh, you should do this in your stand-up or you should do that. And that's why they just keep coming back all the time, because I just do what I want, you know what I mean? It's never nasty either. I'm always nice, because people go, oh, what about the cancel culture? I go, well, I don't say anything in my show. What are we going to do, cancel clouds? Do you know what I mean?
Cancel pillows.
We're never offensive at all. No, it's always nice.
What about those guys that don't come now? Because a lot of comedians are saying it's too expensive in Edinburgh. The accommodation's too expensive. The venues are too expensive. Yeah. It's not worth it anymore. Will you always be here?
Yeah.
We ain't getting rid of you that easily.
I built up my following over the years and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now I get to play an 850-seater. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, and that does really well for the 4 weeks. That's the kind of level you kind of have to get to, kind of 500 up to make the money. But it's really hard on the new acts that come here because there's no grant for them. There's no nothing. They have to pay for the rent of the room. Like, it could be like 20 acts in one room, all paying the same money. It's like having 20 weddings in one room, all being shifted in and out in the hour, you know? So they make a fortune out of them. So the overheads are not that much, you know what I mean? And everything you see, like your techs are really dear, the light, and they go, no, that can't be right. That's not right. It's not right. It's like way over. And then, so the accommodation now, because the thing, you can't rent out your house here unless it's your own front door.
They've tightened up all the rules around.
Well, that's, look,
rent.
again, the Irish government do stuff like that. They're always kicking themselves in the teeth. Well, not in the teeth, but you know what I mean? Shoot themselves in the foot. Wrong thing. And, you know, so that's brilliant, isn't it? There's not enough accommodation, and then the council go, right, well, you can't rent it out then. What? But we need accommodation. Yeah, but we're going to stop you doing that. It just happens in Ireland all the time as well.
So would you, if you'd started now,
yeah,
would you still have done what you've done, do you think? No.
When I started out, it didn't cost as much. I was able to breathe a bit more. But acts come here, as you said, yeah, they might give 1 year or 2 years ago, and then they can't. And this festival is amazing. It's the biggest, most 3,500, 3,600 acts a day. Do you know what I mean? And it's where you cut your teeth here. And, you know, the Scots should be proud of it because all different nationalities come here to do their shows. But they shouldn't be pushed away. They should be encouraged. And I had an idea. Let's throw this out. Well, not the council because they'll stop it. But an Olympic village for the comedians, for the new comedians. Like, that sounds a bit mad, but it's not that mad. Just get loads of porta cabins and build them somewhere. Maybe out in Ocean Terminal where there's a bit more room. And then just have them all living in the set, and they won't have to pay for it.
But the University Hall's residents, put them in there.
Yeah, would that be? Yeah, is that empty? I don't know. They're probably venues.
It could be, couldn't it?
Yeah. So just do an Olympic, and you have to. But you could do it where the acts it's their first or only second time being here. So they don't have to pay for accommodation.
And maybe we do that intro that I gave to you, maybe we do the medal thing. Maybe we give medals out instead of awards for it. You get a medal if you're particularly good at the Fringe. How about that?
Oh my God, I thought you said the meadows with your accent. That's brilliant. I thought you said we give them the meadows as an award. That'd be brilliant. I am now the owner of the meadows.
You'd take that, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Let's talk a bit about the accents and the Scots and the Irish thing as well. We had Ed Byrne was in your seat a year ago when we were doing the Fringe from here.
Yeah.
The Irish are funny and the Scots are funny.
Oh, yeah.
What is it about us and what's the problem with the Welsh?
Well, the Welsh just follow along.